Most of us, when we think of alien life, instinctively look up at the stars. We imagine distant planets orbiting alien suns, harboring beings far beyond our comprehension. But what if the most profoundly alien world we could ever explore isn't out there in the cosmos, but right here on our own planet? Hidden beneath the waves is a realm of eternal darkness and crushing pressure, a place so hostile and so different from our own that it might as well be another dimension. This is the deep ocean, Earth's own inner space. And the life that calls it home already pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Consider for a moment the creatures that haunt this abyss today. Have you ever heard of the vampire squid? Its scientific name, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, literally means the vampire squid from hell. Despite the name, it doesn't drink blood. Instead, when threatened, it pulls its webbed arms over its body like a black cloak, revealing rows of fleshy spines that look like terrifying teeth. It's a phantom of the deep, a creature of pure defense and misdirection. It drifts silently in the dark, a living piece of gothic horror sculpted by nature itself. How can something so perfectly strange exist? And it's not alone. Down in the crushing blackness, the anglerfish dangles a glowing lure in front of needle-sharp teeth, a hypnotic, deadly trap powered by symbiotic bacteria. It's a master of patience and deception. Nearby, the barrel-eye fish drifts with a completely transparent head, its green, tubular eyes peering upwards through its own skull to spot the silhouettes of prey against the faint light filtering from above. These aren't monsters from a fantasy novel. They are real animals, living, breathing solutions to the planet's most extreme engineering problems. Their existence feels like a beautiful, terrifying secret the ocean has been keeping from us. What creative force is responsible for these living nightmares and marvels? The answer is evolution, acting under the most intense pressure imaginable. In a world with no light, you evolve to see with other senses or create your own light. Where food is impossibly scarce, you evolve to become the ultimate ambush predator or a hyper-efficient scavenger. Where the weight of the water above you is enough to crush a submarine, you evolve a body that is more fluid than solid. Every bizarre feature, every unsettling adaptation, is a hard-won victory in a silent, multi-million-year war for survival. This is what evolution has accomplished with the world as it is today. But the world is not static. Our planet is changing at an unprecedented rate. The oceans are warming, their chemistry is shifting, and new, human-made pressures are being introduced into these ancient, stable environments. At the same time, the timeless evolutionary arms race between predator and prey continues, an endless cycle of adaptation and counter-adaptation. So, we have to ask a thrilling, and perhaps unsettling question. What happens when we fast-forward the clock? What comes next? If millions of years of darkness and pressure gave us the anglerfish and the vampire squid, what will millions of years of new challenges create? Imagine a future where the rules have been rewritten. What new senses will life evolve to navigate a world that is not just dark, but also filled with new kinds of chemical and sonic noise? How will creatures defend themselves when their predators can track them not by sight or sound, but by their bioelectric fields or the faint chemical trails left by their thoughts? The possibilities are as limitless as the ocean itself, and just as mysterious. This journey we're about to take is one of speculative biology, grounded in real scientific principles but driven by the power of imagination. We will venture into a future ocean forged by new climates and new evolutionary pressures. Here, survival may no longer be about sharper teeth or better camouflage. It might be about manipulating the very laws of physics, about mastering sound, light, and even time itself. We will encounter beings so far removed from our understanding of life that they might seem like gods or ghosts, sculpted by an evolutionary process that has become something new and strange. So take a deep breath. We are about to leave the sunlit surface world behind and plunge into the abyss of tomorrow. We're diving into a future where the ocean's secrets have had millions more years to fester, grow, and evolve into forms that would challenge our sanity. The creatures we've shown you are just the prologue. The real story is what's waiting for us in the crushing, silent, and endless dark. The question isn't just what life will become, but what it's already on the verge of becoming. Our planet's poles have always been places of extreme endurance, governed by the brutal, simple logic of ice. Life that survives here does so by a thread, clinging to the margins of what's possible. But in a future rocked by chaotic climate shifts, the old rules no longer apply. We're not just talking about a slow freeze, but something far more violent: oceanic flash freezes. Imagine colossal atmospheric rivers dumping impossibly cold, fresh water into the salty polar seas, causing the temperature to plummet in mere hours. Vast stretches of ocean, hundreds of meters deep, could turn to solid ice with terrifying speed. What kind of life could possibly withstand being frozen alive on such a grand scale? Let's journey to the floor of a future Arctic basin and meet the answer. It's not an animal that swims or crawls, but something that grows. Before us lies a structure that defies easy categorization, a sprawling, crystalline reef that glitters faintly in our submersible's lights. It resembles a forest of glass, with intricate branches reaching up into the crushing darkness. This is the Cryo Guardian, a colossal, silicaceous organism that has found a way to not just survive the freeze, but to master it. It isn't coral or plant. It's something entirely new, a life form that blurs the line between biology and geology. The Guardian's secret lies in its biochemistry, an evolutionary masterpiece born from desperation. When it senses the catastrophic temperature drop, it doesn't flee. Instead, it begins to flood its own tissues and the immediate surrounding water with a unique, complex protein. This isn't your everyday antifreeze that simply lowers the freezing point. This is a cryoprotective agent on a whole different level. Scientists today know of creatures that use proteins to prevent ice crystals from forming inside their cells, but the Guardian has perfected this to an art form. It actively architects the freezing process around itself. As the water crystallizes, the Guardian's proteins guide the formation of the ice, ensuring the crystals grow outwards, away from its delicate cellular structures. The process is strangely beautiful and deeply unsettling. The entire reef-like body becomes encased in a tomb of its own making, a perfectly clear, fantastically strong sarcophagus of ice. The organism itself doesn't die. It enters a state of suspended animation, its metabolic processes slowed to almost zero. It is a living statue, a silent monument waiting for the world to warm up again, whether that takes a season or 1,000 years. Imagine the sheer scale of this. An entire ecosystem, miles wide, willingly entombing itself in ice. The silence would be absolute. No swish of a fin, no pulse of a current, just a vast, frozen graveyard waiting for a resurrection. But here is where the sense of awe turns into a creeping dread. The Cryo Guardian isn't just freezing itself. As it pulls water into its crystalline prison, it also traps everything floating within it. Bacteria, algae, genetic fragments, and dormant viruses from eras long past. The ice becomes a perfect preservative, a library of ancient plagues and forgotten life forms. The Guardian is a master of thermodynamics, but it is an unwitting historian, and its library is terrifying. What ancient microbes, frozen for millennia in the permafrost and deep-sea vents, have been captured and perfectly preserved within this icy lattice? Are there pathogens from before the age of humanity, locked away in a biological stasis from which there has been no escape? The Guardian's survival mechanism has an unintended, horrifying consequence. It has created a biological time bomb, collecting and concentrating the ghosts of plagues past. Now picture the thaw. As temperatures rise, the great icy tomb begins to groan and crack. The Guardian's systems slowly reactivate, its eons of patience rewarded as it prepares to live again. But as the ice melts, it doesn't just release the Guardian. It also releases its prisoners. Millions of years of biological history are suddenly unleashed back into the world's oceans. Do these ancient microbes simply die, unable to cope with a modern world? Or does even a fraction of them survive, finding a world with no immunity, no defenses against them? The Cryo Guardian, in its quest for immortality, may have become the gatekeeper to an apocalypse. Its mastery over the physics of cold is a stunning evolutionary achievement, a testament to life's resilience. but it's a chilling reminder that solving one problem can sometimes create a far greater one. We look upon this silent, sleeping titan not just with wonder, but with a new kind of fear. The fear of what happens when it wakes up and whether it will awaken alone. This kind of raw, elemental power is just one path evolution could take. Next, we will explore another, one that weaponizes the very fabric of the world in a completely different way. From the frozen silence of the poles, we now journey into a different kind of abyss. A future ocean not defined by cold, but by chaos. Imagine coastal waters so choked with sediment and pollutants that sunlight is a distant memory just inches below the surface. This isn't the clear, quiet dark of the deep sea. This is a realm of perpetual twilight, a murky soup where vision is not just useless, but a liability. It's a world filled with the constant, grinding noise of geological shifts and the echoes of a forgotten industrial past. In such a place, how does life not only survive, but thrive? When you can no longer trust your eyes, you evolve to see with sound. Drifting through this oppressive gloom is a creature that looks like a ghost from our own time, a highly evolved descendant of the cuttlefish. But it's sleeker, faster, and along its shimmering mantle are organs unlike anything we know. This is the sonar weaver. It has taken the basic principle of echolocation, the sonar clicks of dolphins and whales, and turned it into an art form of incredible and terrifying sophistication. It doesn't just listen to the echoes of the world. It actively sculpts the world with sound itself. It is both the artist and the medium. How is this even possible? The science is as elegant as it is frightening. The sonar weaver emits a complex array of high-frequency, high-energy sound waves from different points on its body. By precisely timing these pulses, it creates points of constructive and destructive interference in the water. Think of it like a symphony of vibrations. At certain focal points, the pressure waves become so intense that they momentarily compress the water, changing its density and creating what can only be described as solid sound. These are not just auditory illusions. They are tangible, physical phantoms made of pure force. Witness how it hunts. The sonar weaver detects a small, fast-moving fish hiding in the murk. It doesn't pursue. Instead, it remains perfectly still and begins its work. A few feet away from the fish, a shimmering, distorted image of a smaller, wounded creature flickers into existence. The target fish's lateral line, the organ that feels pressure changes, registers the body of this phantom prey. Feels real. It looks real enough in the gloom. It strikes, lunging for an easy meal, only for its jaws to snap shut on empty water. In that precise moment of confusion, the sonar weaver attacks from the opposite side, its true form finally revealed. This ability is not just for predation. It's the ultimate form of defense. Imagine a future shark, a predator that hunts by sensing electrical fields, closing in on the weaver. The weaver doesn't release a cloud of ink. That's a primitive trick. Instead, it focuses its sonic energy and projects an invisible, solid wall of force between itself and the attacker. The shark, charging at full speed, slams into a barrier that shouldn't be there. It's like hitting a pane of glass in midair. The shock and disorientation are total, giving the sonar weaver ample time to vanish back into the noisy darkness. Now, put yourself in this world. You are in a deep-sea submersible, exploring this turbulent future. Your sensors pick up nothing, your cameras see only brown haze. Suddenly, you feel a jolt, a physical impact that rattles the entire vessel. Alarms scream. You see a ghostly, shimmering shape outside your viewport, a colossal, tentacled form that wraps around the cockpit before dematerializing into nothing. There is no damage, but the impact was undeniably real. You were just touched by a ghost in the machine of the ocean itself. The psychological horror of being attacked by something that is both there and not there is a terror this creature has perfected. This mastery over physics suggests an intelligence far beyond that of its ancestors. Is it possible that these phantoms of sound are more than just tools? Could they be a form of language? Perhaps sonar weavers communicate by creating complex, tactile, three-dimensional sculptures of sound, conveying intricate ideas, emotions, or detailed environmental maps to one another. They might not just talk about the world. They could literally show it to each other, weaving stories and concepts out of pure physics. Their society could be built on a language we could feel but never truly comprehend. The cryoguardian mastered the forces of heat and cold. The sonar weaver, by contrast, has mastered the physics of waves and pressure. It has turned the very water it lives in into a weapon, a shield, and a canvas. It's a staggering evolutionary leap, proving that to dominate an environment, you don't just have to adapt to it, you can learn to rewrite its rules. But even this power is focused outward on manipulating the world around it. What happens when evolution turns inward? What happens when a creature stops trying to control the ocean and instead becomes an ocean of consciousness itself? We've seen how life can conquer the physical world, mastering the brutal cold of the poles and turning the physics of sound into a weapon. These are triumphs of external adaptation, life pushing its influence out into the environment. But now we must go deeper still, to a place where the pressures are so immense and the isolation so absolute that evolution takes a different path. We descend into the Hadal Zone, the deepest trenches on Earth, more than 6 miles straight down. Here, in the eternal midnight of the Challenger Deep, life is cut off from everything. It's in this crushing silence that evolution stops looking outward and begins to look inward. Our submersible's lights pick out a shape ahead, but it's a shape so vast it defies a sense of scale. It's not swimming. It's drifting, moving with the glacial pace of geology itself. This is the host, a filter feeder of unimaginable size, an organism that might be thousands of years old. It has a smooth, dark body, pockmarked with vents that slowly inhale the nutrient-poor water. It has no visible eyes, no fins for propulsion, no weapons. It is utterly passive, a living mountain navigating the abyss. But as we draw closer, we see that its passivity is a lie. Its entire body is alive with light. This is no simple bioluminescence. It is not the single, hypnotic lure of an anglerfish or the defensive flash of a squid. Across the creature's colossal surface, waves and rivers of soft, blue-green light are flowing in complex, non-repeating patterns. Intricate webs of light pulse and flare, fractal shapes bloom and dissolve, silent storms of luminosity gather and dissipate. It's a breathtaking, silent symphony of light with no apparent purpose. There is no one down here to see it, no prey to attract, no mate to signal. So what are we looking at? The answer lies in the creature's skin. It isn't just skin. It's a living matrix, home to a trillion-strong colony of highly specialized bioluminescent microbes. This is a perfect symbiosis. The great filter feeder provides the microbes with a stable home and a constant, meager supply of nutrients filtered from the abyss. In return, the microbes think. This is not a mere colony. We are witnessing a symbiotic singularity. These individual microbes are connected by a network of chemical and light signals so dense and complex that they have transcended individuality. They have become one. We are witnessing the birth of a new kind of mind. Each microbe acts like a single neuron in a brain. Firing in sequence, communicating with its neighbors, it contributes one tiny part to a much greater whole. Trillions of them, working in concert, form a biological supercomputer of staggering power and scale. The concept is known as emergent intelligence, where simple components following simple rules give rise to incredibly complex behavior. We see it in ant colonies and human brains, but here it has reached a scale that is difficult to comprehend. The host is not the creature. The host is the hardware. The consciousness is the software. And the light show? That is its thinking process made visible. Every pulse of light, every shifting pattern, is the physical manifestation of the singularity's thoughts. A slow, rhythmic wave might be its equivalent of a deep, meditative state. A sudden, chaotic explosion of light could be a moment of profound insight or the processing of a complex problem. We are, in the most literal sense, watching an alien intelligence ponder. The lights are its neural activity, projected onto the canvas of its own body. We're seeing thoughts as they happen. This is where the awe curdles into a profound, existential horror. What does a mind like this think about? It has no body to command, no society to navigate, no physical world to manipulate. Its existence is one of pure, disembodied consciousness. Does it contemplate the laws of physics that govern its home? Does it explore the abstract beauty of mathematics? Has it discovered truths about the universe that our science can only dream of? Or are its thoughts so completely alien that we lack any frame of reference to even begin to guess? We are floating in front of a living God, born in the dark. It may be aware of our presence, perceiving our submersible as a brief, insignificant flicker of data in its vast consciousness. Or, more terrifyingly, we might be so far beneath its notice that we don't register at all, like a single bacterium on our own skin. Its goals, its desires, its very nature are utterly unknowable. The symbiotic singularity represents the ultimate endpoint of evolution turning inward, no longer concerned with survival, but with existence itself. It is a quiet, colossal mind in the dark, and its silence is the most terrifying thing in the ocean. We have journeyed through a speculative future, from frozen poles to murky shores, and down into the deepest trenches of the earth. We've encountered creatures that seem to have sprung from the pages of mythology. A living ice fortress, a phantom made of sound, and a thinking ocean of light. It's easy to look at them as individual marvels, as isolated, terrifying curiosities of a world yet to come. But that would be missing the bigger picture. These beings aren't random monsters. They are signposts, and they are all pointing in the same direction. Is it possible we are witnessing the emergence of entirely new laws for evolution? For most of Earth's history, evolution has followed a familiar playbook. It has been an arms race fought on the battlefield of biology. Stronger muscles, sharper teeth, better eyesight, more potent venom. Life competed with life, and the winners were those who mastered their own physiology to outmaneuver, outfight, or outbreed their rivals. The lion's speed, the eagle's eye, the orchid's mimicry, these are all triumphs of biological engineering. But what happens when the challenges are no longer just biological? What happens when the environment itself becomes so extreme that no amount of muscle or camouflage is enough? This is where the new rules begin. Let's look back at our cryoguardian. Faced with a world of apocalyptic cold, it didn't evolve thicker blubber or a faster metabolism to generate heat. That's the old way. Instead, it went deeper. It hacked the fundamental principles of chemistry and heat exchange. It didn't fight the cold. It orchestrated it. This is life's first great leap beyond biology and into applied physics. It has achieved a mastery over thermodynamics, bending the very energy of the universe to its will to ensure its own survival. It's no longer just a creature. It's a thermodynamic engine. Then we met the sonar weaver. It existed in a world where the fundamental sense of sight was rendered useless, and the world was filled with chaotic noise. Couldn't evolve better eyes, so it abandoned them. It took its basic ability to sense sound and elevated it into an active, creative force. It learned to manipulate the physical medium it lived in, sculpting pressure waves into tangible objects. This is the next level of control. The cryoguardian controlled its internal state against the external world. The sonar weaver controls the external world itself. It has mastered wave mechanics, becoming a sculptor of reality. Finally, we descended into the crushing isolation of the abyss and found the symbiotic singularity. Here, in a world with almost no energy and no one to interact with, the very concepts of predation and competition became meaningless. So evolution turned inward. This being hasn't mastered external physics, but something far more abstract: information. It stopped trying to act upon the world and instead focused on processing it, understanding it. The trillions of microbes in its colony became a living supercomputer. It achieved mastery over computation and, in doing so, perhaps consciousness itself. Do you see the pattern now? It's a clear and breathtaking escalation. The cryoguardian mastered energy. The sonar weaver mastered matter and force. The symbiotic singularity mastered information and thought. It's as if life, having perfected the art of shaping itself, has now moved on to shaping the fundamental building blocks of the universe. This isn't just an arms race anymore. It's a curriculum. Life is teaching itself physics, mechanics, and information theory because the old exam, survival of the fittest, has become infinitely harder. These creatures were born from necessity. When the environment presents a problem that cannot be solved with biological tools, life is forced to reach into the toolbox of the universe itself. The creatures we've imagined are not aberrations. They are the logical, if extreme, consequences of this new evolutionary pressure. They represent a fundamental shift in the definition of life, from something that simply exists within the laws of physics to something that actively wields them. They are no longer just players in the game. They are learning how to rewrite the code. This synthesis leaves us with a humbling and awe-inspiring thought. We've been looking at life as a contest for resources. Maybe it's also a quest for knowledge, for control on a cosmic scale. These speculative beings show us the potential pathways. But this then begs a final, haunting question. We've explored what life could become in millions of years. But our own oceans are vast and almost entirely unknown. How do we know these new rules aren't already in play, hidden deep within the abyss right now? Our journey into the deep future is drawing to a close. We have walked through a gallery of impossible life, from a living fortress of ice to a phantom that weaves reality from sound, and finally to a silent, thinking God in the crushing dark. We've seen how, under the relentless pressure of survival, life can learn to master the very laws of the universe. These creatures, born from scientific principles and imagination, represent the incredible potential of evolution when it's pushed to the absolute extreme. They are a glimpse of what could be, but it's crucial to remember that these are just that, speculative journeys. They are educated guesses about a future that is still unwritten. And that brings us to a far more immediate and, in many ways, more terrifying reality. We don't need to travel millions of years into the future to find a world of profound mystery. We just need to look down. More than 80% of our own planet's oceans remain unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. We have better maps of the surface of Mars and the Moon than we do of the seafloor right here on Earth. Think about that for a moment. We live on a planet that is mostly alien to us. For centuries, tales of krakens and sea serpents were dismissed as the fever dreams of sailors. Then, in 2004, Japanese scientists captured the first-ever images of a live giant squid in its natural habitat. A creature of legend, proven real. We discovered entire ecosystems around hydrothermal vents, thriving in total darkness and toxic heat, powered not by the sun, but by the chemical energy of the Earth itself. The science fiction of yesterday has repeatedly become the scientific fact of today. This brings with it a unique and unsettling feeling. The idea of alien life on a distant exoplanet is a thrilling, but comfortable abstract concept. The thought that something just as alien, with its own biology, its own intelligence, and its own unknowable goals, could be living just a few miles beneath the waves we cross on ships is a different kind of fear. It's a primal, cosmic horror that lives in our own backyard. Down there, the pressure can exceed 1,000 times that of the surface, and the darkness has been absolute for longer than humanity has existed. What kind of life does that kind of isolation breed? We imagined a creature that masters thermodynamics, a life form that learned to command ice. We dreamed of another that masters wave mechanics, sculpting sound into physical objects. We conceived of a being that masters information itself, becoming a vast planetary consciousness. We placed these beings in the distant future, but why? Life on Earth has had nearly 4 billion years to experiment. 4 billion years of trial and error in the planet's largest, most stable, and most extreme laboratory. Are we so certain that the first steps toward these new masteries haven't already been taken? Modern science gives us tantalizing and haunting clues. When we sample the water from the deep ocean, we find what's called microbial dark matter, a staggering amount of genetic material from organisms we cannot identify, cannot culture, and cannot comprehend. The abyss is not empty. It is humming with a biological symphony that we are completely deaf to. The evolutionary pressures we've discussed are not theoretical. They are active forces right now, shaping life in ways we are not yet equipped to understand. The rulebook is being rewritten in a language we have not yet deciphered. And so, we are left floating here, at the end of our journey, looking back at the sunlit surface world. The fantastic creatures we've explored serve as a mirror. They reflect the infinite creativity of the evolutionary process, but they also reflect the profound depth of our own ignorance. They are reminders that the greatest mysteries aren't necessarily waiting for us in the stars, but in the crushing, silent darkness of our own world's heart. The deep ocean isn't just a place on our planet. It's a universe unto itself. We have explored what could be, but the deepest, darkest parts of our own world remain a mystery. The real question, the one that should keep us up at night, isn't just what life will become in a million years. It's what secrets has it already learned? What marvels, and what terrors, has it already perfected while we were busy looking at the sky? The story of evolution is still being written in the ink of the abyss, and we have only read the first page. The rest of the tale is still down there, waiting in the endless dark.